Hey, you're in the Hall of Fame with Booker T, six-time world champ, two-time Hall of Fame, along with my man Brad Gilmore. They call him the BOAT. And hey man, we're just doing it. We're just doing it and doing it big. Hey, Luke Harper just made it. Brodie Lee. Let's
Yeah.
get that right. Brodie Lee has made his debut in AEW wrestling. People thought he was going to be a part of the Dark Order. It didn't work out that way. Brodie Lee is as well as Matt Hardy. I call him Matthew. Matt Hardy has made his way into AEW as well. The ultimate deletion. I guess that's what we're going to call it. I tell you, man, these guys didn't waste no time. Quick move. Say, let's, you know what? And that's the way you want to do it, too. I remember when I left WCW, coming to WWF/WWE, I say, hey, man, I ain't got time to lose no money. You know what I mean? If they want me to take a buyout to get out of it, I'll take it because I feel like my talent is going to enable me to be able to go out there and still make that money back as well as so much more. I just got to go out here and get over, baby. So right now, Brodie Lee, as well as Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy say, man, it was a huge decision to make, but he think it was the right decision. Less days, more money, less stress. Hey, that sounds good to me. It sounds real good. You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like total non-stop action. You know what I'm saying?
I knew you were going there. I knew you were going there.
What, man? I'm just saying, man.
No, I think it's great for Matt. He's back to broken Matt Hardy. He's doing the broken stuff again.
Yeah.
And he's got the red streak in the hair. I like it. Here's the thing. I'll be honest, AEW style isn't always my cup of tea, right? But their show that they did in front of no audience, even though it was weird not having a crowd there, it still felt like it had an energy to it. And with Matt debuting, with Brodie Lee debuting as the exalted one, and even the way they did it with Matt to have the drone go into the ring, and then the camera pans up, the piano music starts playing, he's sitting there in the rafters doing his thing. I really enjoyed how they debuted him. I thought that they really did a great job. Sure, it would have been much better in front of 10,000 fans or 6,000 fans, whatever they were going to have in New Jersey or New York. But they did a really good job of working with what they had. And I really wanted to actually kind of tip my cap to them because these shows that we've seen over the last couple weeks, they're hard to produce. It's hard to produce wrestling with no crowd. It's really hard. And WWE's had to do it 6 or 7 times. They're going to do it at WrestleMania. I know we're going to talk about that. But for AEW to still have some life in the show and not hold back on debuting these guys, saying, hey, there might not be a crowd, but we're still going to go forward with our story the way it is. Like, I got to give props to him. And I really think Matt Hardy's doing the best thing for him right now.
Yeah, my thing is what I liked about it was they had a lot of matches, and the matches were highly intense matches. Those guys went out there and worked their butts off in front of no people, and that I've never done that before. I've never had the chance to actually work in front of an empty arena. Now, 25 people. That's close enough.
Back in 10,000 Industrial Boulevard, it might have happened once or twice.
That's the Unicorn Ballroom. You know what I mean? Right there on 59.
Not the Rhinestone Wrangler?
Yeah, no, Unicorn Ballroom, man. You get 25 in there sometimes. That's a good night. You know what I mean? So I kind of know what it's like working in front of just say at first it's a small crowd, 25 people. It's definitely hard. But for me, when I was working in front of 25 people, I wasn't the guy that was making millions of dollars a year. I was a guy that was making, $10 here, $25 here. If it was a $40 night, man, that was a great night. You know what I mean? So working in front of certain crowds like that back then, I was anxious. I was like, man, all in. 25 people to me was like 25,000 people back then. So I went out and I worked my butt off. And there's a saying, they say, man, no matter whether it's, one person in the arena or there's, 100,000 people in the arena, you go out there and you work the same exact way. And then I must commend those guys for actually, taking that and actually believing it and going out there and pulling it off. Big ups. But this thing is definitely, let's say, trying, because watching wrestling with no crowd noise, is definitely something different. And I wonder how long we can actually go like this. And, I wonder how long this pandemic is actually going to, go on for crowds actually not to be able to go out. And how long one thing about wrestling, they changed the name of the game back in the day when they did call it entertainment.
Right.
Being able to go out there and create storylines. Maybe that's what we may have to go to. Really, really delving off into making this thing a real movie every week, opposed to just a wrestling show until we get things back on track. I think for me, with a company like that, it got that kind of money back. I feel like that's probably the route I would want to go with it. Really go Hollywood with this thing. Still making wrestling almost like Lucha Underground-esque.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The way they did the storyline.
Yeah, you got Matt Hardy, who we know he produces a lot of these things on his own channel, and what we saw him do in TNA with the Final Deletion and all that. I mean, it could be something they could go by. Do you real quick, to go back to Matt, because I definitely want to talk about wrestling in front of no crowd, but to go back to Matt, you think this was the best decision for him right now to step away from WWE? Looks like Jeff's staying there for a while. Jeff just came back to SmackDown again in front of no crowd. But do you think this was the right decision for Matt? Because he said that he felt a little creatively frustrated. Like they went with the Woken Matt thing, but not all the way. Not the way he wanted to do it. So he felt like he needed to try this because this is a character that's really connected for him.
You get to a stage in your career and you say, man, I got to do something, and you got to pull the trigger. You got to be the one to be able to pull the trigger. No one's going to do that for you. You got to be willing to bet on yourself, especially in this business. You got to feel, for me, I always say, man, I know how talented I am. I know how much talent I got. I know I can work anywhere in the world. I know I can get a job. That's the last thing I'm worrying about. When you got that right there, on your side, man, that's a lot of power right there. Matt Hardy's always been a guy that's been self-made. The Hardy Boys, those guys, they were self-made. Those guys went out there, they put themselves on the map by going out there and putting their bodies on the line each and every night in some of the most horrific matches that I've ever seen in my life in this business. I'm talking about Mick Foley-esque in a certain sense. So for those guys, man, they've always been able to write their own ticket. Matt Hardy, he's not a young guy. He's a guy that's in the twilight years of his career, and to finish it the way you want to finish it, and it don't hurt if you get some good paper for it as well. And then the time off thing, man, that comes into play a whole lot. I don't think Matt Hardy could have been one of those part-timer guys and still made the salary he wanted to make or made the impact that he wanted to make. So I say it definitely was the right thing for Matt Hardy to do. It's almost like, I can't remember when my mama, my sister used to say, if you like it, I love it. It's one of them type of deals.
But do you think, and I saw some, people on the internet, that's what they do, they complain. But people said, some of the AEW detractors were saying, you got Matt Hardy, you got Brodie Lee in the same episode. Two former WWE guys, that's all it is. You're just putting focus on former WWE guys. You're not building any of your young guys. Do you feel that way, or do you feel that these guys, Matt Hardy and Brodie Lee, can help bring attention to everybody else and bring them up?
Hey, man, you're going to need guys like Matt Hardy. You're going to need guys like Brodie Lee to actually to build that company. I mean, it's about trying to build this company, and I'm taking nothing away from any of the young guys that AEW has, okay? But sometimes, just like I said a little while ago, a lot of times these guys are really, really good workers, but are they stars? That's the thing right there. When Jon Moxley came in, he got a lot of fanfare for a certain reason, okay? He's a star, okay? When Chris Jericho came in, he got a lot of fanfare because he's a star, okay? So when Jake Hager came in, he got put in a good spot because he came from somewhere where he was built to be a star. You, I can't put the star brand on him just like that.
I hear you.
I just can't throw that tag around like that or anything like that. And then you got a guy like Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, got a lot of name recognition. You treat him a certain way. Cody Rhodes.
Right.
But then you got a lot of those guys. Their names, we know them, okay, but are they stars? Are they someone that's going to be able to pull the pay-per-views? Are they someone that you can because the one thing about it, these guys can't wrestle each other forever. You know what I mean? They're going to have to start wrestling, different guys. They're going to have to start having, different competition, different, makeups and looks for fans to actually see something totally different, as well as a guy like Brodie. This guy, he's a big guy, but he can work. And he could do a lot of cool stuff. I'm wondering if he's going to adopt the AEW brand and AEW style as far as going out there and becoming the next Luchasaurus. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing. I do think a guy like Brodie do know the blueprint of actually being able to go out there and have a match without having to run around and jump all over the place. I do think, Matt Hardy, another guy, he's been a high flyer. He's been one of those guys, but Matt Hardy is well past his high flying days. He can go out there and show these guys, hey, man, let's go out here and have a match. And I think that's what a lot of the talent in AEW is missing more than anything, and that's just some guidance, some tutelage, that knowledge of someone saying, "Hey, man, hey, let's try doing it this way." And the thing is, they might try it and go, "Wow, that's pretty cool." Like I say, I work with Randy Orton, one of his first matches, and we didn't talk about anything, and we come back in the back, and he goes, "Is it that easy?" And I go, "It's supposed to be that easy every night." And those are lessons that you can't learn from working with guys that you're better than every week.
Right. Yeah. I see what you're saying. And you think that a guy like a Brodie Lee, who's worked around a lot of the top stars in WWE, I mean, there was talk that Luke Harper at the time was going to be in the WrestleMania WWE Championship match with Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt at a time, and he was working with Randy a lot, working under Bray as a part of that Wyatt family. And you think that him having that experience and bringing it over to AEW is only going to bring up everybody else? Yeah.
I mean, it can only help.
It can't hurt. Being at the biggest place in the world for professional wrestling, where all the greatest of all time have all walked through and still today walk through, and getting to talk to him, getting to stop the Booker T's, the Shawn Michaels, the Triple H's, the John Cena's, the Randy Ortons, the Chris Jericho's at one point, it can't hurt absorbing all that knowledge and taking it with you somewhere else. There's no way it can hurt you.
You remember Jake Hager talking about it. We had him on the show.
Yeah.
And Jake was talking about when he was in WWE, what was his biggest problem? You remember what his biggest problem was? He said his biggest problem was not speaking up for himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that right there, it's just not being comfortable enough to actually do it, because you question your talent. When you question your talent, you're definitely going to keep your mouth shut. But when you know exactly how good you are, Jake Hager's a former WWE heavyweight champion. Okay.
Yeah.
So it tells me they had something planned for this kid. It tells me they had some stock that they wanted to put into him. Things didn't work out, of course, but it may have been because, man, he just was not ready or equipped for that situation. Maybe he just didn't have the wherewithal, knowledge, and the understanding as well.
That could have been it. It could have been it. But I'm not one of those people who say, "Oh man, why are you going to sign the old talent? Why are you bringing in the old WWE guys to the AEW?" I think it's foolish. It's absolutely foolish. And I thought it was foolish when people knock WCW now for, why'd you bring in Hogan and Hall and Nash and Macho? I'm like, because you needed to build something. You needed to build something, so you got to have some names. I do say that it is interesting. Brodie Lee joins the ranks with somebody like a ravishing Rick Rude this week. He was actually featured on AEW television, and then he was also featured on WWE television as a part of the WrestleMania 30 match with Bray Wyatt and John Cena, just like Rick Rude did back in the day.
Yeah. Man, I don't know, man. The haters, they're going to always be out there, man. But one thing these haters better recognize, man, realize is them suckers going to get old, too. It's going to happen quick. So all you suckers, man, y'all better embrace seeing these guys, man, because the thing is, some people get old when they get 30, okay? So I'm going to tell you right now, all you suckers out there trying to, down on guys that, people can say, people. I love it when people say, man, Booker T, he's old and whatnot. And I challenge any of them suckers to a lift off any day of the week. You know what I mean? Because I'm still in shape. And I can't wait to see them when they get 50. I might be 75 and I'm going to still be looking better than they look. Hey, guys. You listening to, Booker T, 6-time world champion, Brad Gilmore. We up out of here, man.